we are going to take the next hour. Is that right? Hour. It's, 30 minutes. Sorry. So, okay, back it up. We have been told, instructed that this must be quick. It must be brief. It must be fast. All right? So what I've decided is, because Malcolm is such a good example of brevity, right? That I decided that I'm going to read just a couple of his Facebook posts here. All right? Just a couple. Because time is of the essence, right? So I thought it was, Liz, I thought it was a little bit hypocritical to ask us to be quick when then this is a really great book, okay? And if you have 5 hours, you too can read through this, all right? So 5 hours. Now, I was thinking through it. I'm like, well, we do have examples, though. We do have examples of where you guys are quick, right? So there are some examples of that. Like, for instance, meeting each other and then 7 weeks later saying, hey, let's get married. That's an example of quick, right? So we're going to try to go down that valley today, all right? All right, good. All right. So look, I will only say this because I've got the mic for a very short amount of time, but we talked earlier about family, right? And one thing that has always been important to the Walter family is this concept of family. Our doors were always open, right? And our folks, we had people, I would walk in as the oldest, and Travis would experience this too with me. We'd walk in and we wouldn't know half the people at our house sometimes. And they were all kids, right? It was just this open door policy where anybody could come in. They always felt safe. They always felt like they could grab as much food as they wanted, and my folks never cared. And then it got crazy. Like when we were seniors in high school, we had people that got kicked out of the high school, because we were at a boarding school too. It was like half and half. They got kicked out of high school, and my folks said, yeah, you should come stay with us. So that was the kind of family I grew up in. And so what I am offering to all the extended family is that you can go over to Malcolm and Liz's anytime you want. Anytime you want, their door is always open, all right? And they've got plenty of food, all right? All right, so the first speaker tonight actually is my twin brother, Travis. He's way more handsome, way more articulate. I'm really excited, and he has a lot more hair than me. So, Travis.
So we were instructed to be quick, and so I will be as brief as I can. I wanted to talk a little bit about how we met Liz, and we got introduced, and my father said, hey, after he had spent time, everybody else is down in San Francisco, we're the only ones apart, we're up in Seattle. There's all this news swirling around Liz, and we're up in Seattle like, what's going on? What's happening? And Max came and said, hey, we're going to come by and do a little visit. And this was last fall, a little innocent visit. And as you might know, nothing is innocent with Malcolm. It's all very deliberate and planned out. And so I knew innocent probably wasn't the right word. But Liz came up, and I want to tell you, we put her through 3 tests to try to gauge and understand who Liz was. And the first test was the hot tub test. And no, don't let your mind go there. This is a different hot tub test. But the hot tub test is one where, we had our kids, and Liz said, I'm going to go in the hot tub, and Max said, I'm going to go in the hot tub. And so I get our 3 kids, Jaden, Addison, and Riley. We put goggles on, and we say, you go in the hot tub with Liz. Let's see how Liz does. And I'm looking out the 3rd floor window down in the hot tub, and there are the 3 kids in goggles swimming over top of her, kicking, splashing, and Liz has the biggest smile on her face. And I thought, great, she's passed the first test. She's going to be a fantastic grandmother to these kids. And she was phenomenal. The second is, well, let's figure out who Liz is as a person. And so we had a long conversation that night around the fire, Malcolm, Stephanie, my wife, and Liz. And I can tell you, Liz held her own. She was opinionated in all the right ways. She was absolutely her own individual, and she didn't get shut out by two Walters, and that was impressive on its own. And I was proud to see who you were and what you brought to the table, that you made us better. And that was the second test. And then the third test was more of a challenge. I kind of wanted to see how adventurous she might be along with Malcolm, and we were sitting around the fire and said, well, now that you guys are both retired, what's next? What's next for you? And I said, you know, I think the important thing is that you guys should go be interesting. You've got some downtime. Go be interesting. And I said, well, maybe we should go to New Zealand. I've always wanted to do these hikes. I said, that's it. You guys should go do 8 of these great walks and go be interesting. And I will tell you, Liz did not flinch. And I had a lot of doubt because she hadn't been hiking or camping all that much. And for her to take on that challenge of being interesting was just phenomenal. So we left after the 3 tests, thumbs up. As I knew, it was not an innocent visit. A week later, Malcolm's like, hey, guess what? We're engaged. And so I want to just toast you, and I know through your visit and your trip to New Zealand that you guys found what was really important, that it's not about being interesting, it's about being interested in each other and everyone around you. And I'd just like to raise a glass and toast to both of you to a life of being interested in one another. Cheers.
Thank you.
Love you. Love you. And I think I am introducing Garrett.
No, that's my role. I'm going to revel in this, okay, guys? Our next speaker is actually Liz's brother, right? And so, Dick Fisher, welcome up. This is going to be very good. I've had a sneak preview.
Thank you. No problem. First, I had a prepared speech, but I want you to know that my daughter decided not to make reservations to come here till after the big trip was done. Before I give my little toast, which is just a little poem. Before I give my little toast, which just is a little poem, I would really just like to say, we all know Liz is a very successful woman, and everything she's went after, she's conquered. But I have never seen her so happy as she is today. And then looking at Malcolm's family, I see the joy that she feels in becoming a part of their journey as they go on. And it's just beautiful. So, a great family. Now I'm going to read this poem, but before I do, because I get a little crazy when I read a poem, actually I've never read one in public, I'm going to invite my Jane up, who's been with me and guiding me and teaching me for 50 years. And for 50 years, she was teaching me, and for the last 20, she's my Sherpa. So I will try to read this, and if I can't, she will continue. It's nothing fantastic.
So the people in the back there.
Okay.
The people in the back who can't hear me may have a break. Love, a gift from the gods, a passing fantasy to eternity, a walk in the rainforest, a float on a river crossing a continent, a journey to save a nation, begets a love that lasts forever. A testament to the world that there is always hope, always a path to joy. Today, you have made that promise, and your love becomes a gift to the world and our families that are joined. Your promise is a blessing to all and a special gift to those too young to know. It is a promise that will last forever. Thank you from all of us who are so blessed. Your journey, years in the making, starts a lifetime that will prove the waiting was worth the prize. Thank you. And we'll toast to love. Because that's what it's all about, love. Thank you. Thank you for bringing so much joy to my sister. It's so, I'm so happy. He was so perfect. I can't believe how lucky you are.
So my money was on the Walters to make people cry, but I think that was pretty much, that takes the cake right there. So we are now joined by Jordan, who is my, I guess, youngest or middle brother. With that goes a lot, right? Like middle child, but I'm sure he'll do fine.
I got to think about what I'm going to say. About 14 months ago, Max came, we were here in Tahoe, and we were having one of the infamous family how are you sessions, but it was not with our family, it was with a bunch of our friends. It was a peculiar time to bring this up, but Max decided it was the right time. He said, I think I've decided I'm ready to date. And I was like, my first reaction was, I'm learning this at the same time as all of my friends, which is... My second reaction was awesome. My third reaction was you are totally not prepared for this. It's been 40 plus years since you've been in the dating scene. You have absolutely no game. I'm telling him about how to play hard to get, you got to be cool, you got to be kind, you've got to be thoughtful, but you can't try too hard because that's a major sign of weakness. So we rushed out and we got him new clothing. As cool as a purple mock turtleneck tucked into your underpants. And I don't know where your jeans were from. As cool as that is, it's not that effective when wanting to explore new options with people who might judge you on what you look like. So we bought him new clothes. That worked out well, I think. He's still wearing the same. I saw him the other day. He looked great. And then I realized that all of that worry about how you were going to fare was totally unnecessary. Turns out when you're being yourself and you're pursuing your passions, you are authentically who you are. And that makes room for people to fall in love with you. And I think that's exactly what happened in Ecuador. Ever since you guys came back from Ecuador, it's been abundantly clear to me that the commonalities, the passions, the things that, as you look forward to the next 40 years that you hold dear, are super aligned. And you've been building on that since you've come back from the jungle, if you will. But regardless of all of that, like, chemistry stuff, you're also, from a logistical standpoint, very well aligned. I mean, Max, you have lots of friends, but really only a couple, and they all live in Pennsylvania. And Liz, you have lots of friends because lots of people like to be with you. And now, Max, you just basically got cool and you inherited a bunch of friends. That's a big win. It takes people a long time to cultivate relationships with people and establish true friendship. You just kind of get that now. And Liz, I wouldn't assume that you see this necessarily as a gift the way that I would expect Max sees the friend thing. But I think we get the gift of having you as a grandmother. There's 13 children in this family. So far. And for the most part, none of them have ever experienced a grandmother. And I can tell you, at least for our kids, they look to you as grandma. And I think it's 10 seconds, you wait. And then you're good. I am so excited and so appreciative of not just your marriage and your relationship, but the opportunity to have you be a part of my children's lives. And they feel the same way. And I just cannot wait to see them grow up with a grandmother just like you. So thank you.
Well, I was wrong. So, all right, so for this next one, I have to set the stage. First off, we've got two bosses here, right? Like their careers, they're bosses, right? And they've had some control. They're used to a little bit of control. So Malcolm had like kind of scripted out some of these speeches, and we all threw them out. So hopefully you're enjoying these a little better than what you wrote. All right? And then Liz, basically called her niece up and said, hey, Holly, here's the thing. You're not allowed to say shit or fuck during the speeches. So, Holly, I just did you a huge favor. I got that out of the way. All right? So let's all welcome Holly.
Thank you so much. That was great. Fucking Gareth. So I just want to start by saying, I guess, thank you to the Walter family and to Kristen for hosting that beautiful Thursday night gathering for all the women. That was super special, and I thank you for that. I want to congratulate all your sons on being Abercrombie and Fitch models. Like, I don't know where you guys come from. Your children are ridiculously gorgeous, all of you. I always feel like people have this place, and it's usually kind of a bad thing. I knew where I was when somebody told me this, and now when I drive my son to school every day, I know where I was when Liz called me and said, I'm in love. I pulled over the car. I was so emotional. I'm not a super emotional person. It just came out. She was like, you got to call me back, whatever. I called her right back. I'm in love. I came home. I was so happy for her. I told my husband, who's a little overprotective of Liz, I said, our girl, she found love. I'm so excited. It was like in the wilderness in Ecuador. And I was so excited and dramatic as I can be. And he says to me, what the fuck are you talking about, babe? Nobody finds love in the woods. This is what happens when you move to the West Coast. Who is this guy? He was not as excited as I was. Who is this guy? What does he do? Where is he from? Joe needed way many more details than I needed. I didn't need all the details. I knew how happy she was. I felt it through the phone. And I just can't even tell you the happiness that is coming from the two of you. And I did have something written down, and Gareth said last night, just go from your heart, because being with you, Malcolm, and your family, and just you guys welcoming all of us, I know we're a little bit of a crazy bunch, but it's just so incredible that the underlying tone of all the last few days is just love, love, love. And even sitting on Thursday night, walking away from it, it was so beautiful, but everything that everybody said about you didn't surprise me. That's who you are, Malcolm, that's who you're getting. And I am forever grateful for the mother that you've been to me, the friend that you've been to me, the just always, always, always. You know, people say, like, you're making a big decision. A lot of people will go to Google or their therapist or anybody else. Whenever I make a big decision, or even Joe and I now, let's call Liz. We have to make sure that this is the right decision in our life. And that's where you stand. You stand there with our children. And I now lead to a funny story. My son was in the airport we were traveling back, and he said to my mother-in-law, can I get these? They were Twizzlers. I'm a little bit of a food Nazi. So I said, and she said, I don't know, your mom doesn't let you eat red stuff and, you know, all that stuff. So he said to her, no, my Aunt Liz sent these to me in my Easter basket, and she's super healthy. So with that, though, and in talking to Elizabeth, and with that, we're so far away, but so close that my 5-year-old son knows that Aunt Liz will send him Twizzlers for his Easter basket, that true relationships and friendships and families, they know no miles. There are no such thing as miles. It is right next door, and it is right there. So I wish you two all the love that's all in this sky and trees and everything else. Malcolm, we love you already. We love your family. And I just ask that you and your children and your beautiful, beautiful grandchildren take care of her heart and everything that she has, because she's everything to us.
Wow. Jeez. All right. I got to be composed here. This is hard. All right. Now, I'm looking for Jaybird. Where's Jaybird? Where is he? Right there. Okay, so the final toast tonight. This is it, guys. You're like there. You're right at the end. All right? Are we doing good on time? No. Okay. We're good? All right. Good. The youngest of the Walter boys, Jason, also the most attractive, right? Obviously, is here to give us final thoughts.
Thank you. So, believe it or not, when you write a speech in advance, it's still from the heart. So I just want to preface that this is still from the heart, okay? And the reality is when you are at a wedding, you want to surround yourself with the people you love most, and the people who love you the most. So you'll all be pleased to know I've been tracking that love, and I'm keeping score, and there's a leaderboard, and you're all part of it. There's a lower quartile. Just if you want to know where you stand, please come talk to me anytime. And Holly, after that, you'll be pleased to know your stock is rising significantly. So by show of hands, who here has been invited to spend the night, eat a meal, or invited through the doors of my father's home? Any different home. And keep in mind, this is his home, so feel free to all raise your hands. And then I'd also ask who has participated in a how are you? You've already heard that term tonight. So a lot of people. And I consider my dad to be, without hyperbole, the most generous person I know. He's radically inclusive and really invites everyone into the home, as we kind of already noted about some key moments of that. And when we would go on vacation, that's when we filled up the refrigerator, because we knew people would be coming in and out, and we'd be continuing to feed the town, both like actually and metaphorically as well. Often it was friends, but many other times there was people that the kids had no idea who these people were, but they had nowhere else to go. So he's also generous in more subtle and profound ways. And so what is a how are you? So a how are you is when you're sitting around a meal with people you love, kind of just like this, and you share what's important. So I hope some of you have already started to do that tonight. And you really connect from the heart. There is wind. I know it doesn't feel like it, but up here is different vortex. I don't know what it is. So I'll just say that my dad really takes the time to listen to the point when you actually feel heard. Thank you. That's why you write a card as well. So this pursuit of unconditional love, for me, I see best manifested in his generosity. You know, I'm going to leave it there. I love you. I did pretty good, Hunky. Just the way I scripted it. Come here.
That was beautiful. That was. Thank you, Jay. I actually think that's it. So I think it's later. When are you doing your words? And remember, we've got like a 30-minute window. It's like for all of us, meaning you've got like 3 minutes. Okay, right now? Yeah, right now. Okay, let's do this.
All right. Well, the truth is I don't do anything fast, except get married. Yeah, okay. So there are a lot of people to thank, and I have to start with each of those folks who just gave toasts. You clearly touched all of us in profound ways, and I'm very, very grateful. Putting on something like this doesn't happen on its own, and if Liz and I were in charge, it wouldn't have happened at all. So the team captain of this was our wedding planner, Heather Spear. Heather, where are you? Is she somewhere? Oh, she's back there, Heather. That's Heather. All right. So we owe her a lot. We worked with her to put on the wedding we hoped we would have, and she delivered on every aspect and improved the things that we weren't creative enough to improve. So, Heather, you are awesome. Are awesome. Working with Marcy and all the folks at Delish who put on this wonderful spread for us here tonight. It's just been spectacular. We got to know our photographers first kind of as professionally, but then quickly as friends, and Matt and Tara are these two remarkable human beings that are now capturing this for us in a beautiful way, and we love you. Our videographer tonight is a close family friend that grew up on the same street and as we did back in that Pennsylvania place with the doors wide open, and that's Lane Genzlinger, and he's wonderful. All these beautiful flowers come from Katie at Thran's, and they just made. We said we wanted it to be green and white, but also sort of give this outdoor feeling to it. And you know, I'm not a creative type, but I sure love creative people, and she did a fantastic job. So that was awesome. And then all this stuff that got set up here, it doesn't usually look like this. This crowd came in yesterday and delivered some stuff, and they came in again today and set it all up, and the group from Camelot just made it look easy. So that was very wonderful, and we're grateful. I'm obviously thankful for my family and both of our families who have loved and supported us for as long as we can remember. And that love and support is what allowed us to be the people we needed to be to then fall in love. And we love our families. We also love this group here that we've collected of our most special favorite friends. And it is true, she's got way more friends than I've got. But, you know, that's okay. I'm the winner there. And to have all of you here, some of you traveled a great distance to join us at Lake Tahoe, and we're just really honored and grateful to be able to share this marriage with you, and we get to then have you in our life to support our marriage from here forward, and that just feels like we can't lose. So it's fantastic. Thank you for that. And I need to thank Lynn. So, I mean, she told it pretty straight up there. If not for Lynn, none of us would be here right now. At least right here, right now. It's really the case. She invited the two of us quite separately. We found each other. So, you know, I want to explain this a little bit. So we're invited to go to this trip to Ecuador. We're going to spend 2 weeks to witness the work of Pachamama Alliance, and that it was this founder's journey, and her husband Bill was with us there. There were 35 other folks, roughly. And it was all about the Pachamama's mission is helping the indigenous tribes there preserve their rainforest, while simultaneously working with those of us in the modern world to change our behavior so we're not putting the stress on the rainforest that makes it need to be saved in the first place. So that was the purpose of going down there. Before arriving, we were told to have explicit intentions. Why are you coming on this trip? What do you want to get out of this? I had two. The first of those was I really wanted to understand the spiritualism of these indigenous tribes who view we are all one, and they live that. And when they say we, it's not just our tribe, it's not just other human beings that they don't know. It's the animal kingdom, it's the plant kingdom, it's everything in the universe. This is their spiritualism. And I have to say that my own, which was very traditional up through most of my life, has been bending that way for the last 10 years. And so I was very curious about this, and I was hoping to learn from these masters to see if I could come back with a glimpse of what it is they already know. And that was, if you're in this boat, if this is resonating with you at all, go to Ecuador. Go on one of these trips. My second intention was, I wanted to see if it was, I knew we would be with a number of shamans. and that they've got the ability to reach into places that I can't access because I'm a mortal guy. So I went with the intention of wanting to make a connection with my wife, who had passed away 5 years before. And so that was one of my intentions. And so it turns out that, and the other thing we were told is arrive a day early because you're going to be at altitude and you're going to need to adjust. So I did that. And I'm sitting in this place called the Cafe Cultura. It's a boutique hotel in Quito, the capital of Ecuador, having breakfast. And it's a small enough hotel that I could pretty well guess that everyone who was gathered there was there because of Pachamama. And I'm having breakfast with my niece, Kate, who happens to be here, because Kate had been on a trip a couple weeks before that was ending that same time with Pachamama, doing what I would then be doing starting the next day. And I look across the room there, and there's this rather attractive woman sitting at a table for two, but the other chair is empty. And I'm thinking, okay, anytime now the husband's going to come down, so I start looking around to other people. And, some time goes by, and the group of us were going to head out to see the Genzlinger Museum. And, time's gone by, and that chair still isn't filled. So I think I should go over at least say hi. And I learned that her name is Liz Fisher. She's from Corte Madera. Isn't that wonderful? It's so close to me. Would you like to go to the Genzlinger Museum? I said, sure, I'd love to do that. Okay. Is there anyone else coming? No. So, okay, all right, great. This is great. So we take this walk over to the museum, and it's a bit of a walk, and it goes well, and I'm learning a whole bunch about her. We get to the museum. The museum is made up of his house, which has this incredible, his art collection, and then his Chapel of Man museum. We first go through the house, that's awesome. We get down to the museum, and I happen to now be with this other woman who had been on this trip with Kate the previous weeks. Her name is Jennifer Hoff, I think her last name is pronounced. And Jennifer is a seer. So I said, so what's a seer? He said, well, we're somebody who, I live simultaneously in the spirit world and the natural world. I can communicate with spirits. I said, really? That's stunning. And I'm standing with her as we enter the museum, and she says, would you like me to tell you what I already know about you? Well, who's going to say no to that, right? So I said, absolutely. So she starts telling me all these wonderful things, and I said, all right, well, listen, honestly, I've had two profoundly amazing women in my life, and they're, my wife, Wendy, and she says, yeah, she's right over here. And she's not talking to me. She's standing right over there, and it's a little standoffish. I said, well, that's rather freaking interesting. And I said, and then there's my daughter, Kristen. He said, oh, wait, whoa. At the mention of Kristen's name, Wendy's come running over here. They must be the best of friends. And I said, oh, and there's no question. There's Wendy's been her cheerleader since she was born. He said, yes, that's it. Just cheerleader. This is so, and Wendy wants you to know a few things. The first is that she is doing fine. She is perfect. The second is that you are doing fine and you are perfect. And the last thing that she wants you to know is that it's time for you to write the next chapter in your book. It's time for you to move on. And I'm thinking, wow, this trip hasn't begun yet. And I'm freaking connected like this. It's and so over the next couple of weeks, it is the case that Liz and I spent more and more time together. And I now feel incredibly grateful to have yet a third powerful woman in my life. Because without women in your life, it is the case that if you want to change the world, start with women and then mobilize everyone. Right? I mean, that is just true. And to now have yet a third and incredibly powerful woman in my life, I am blessed beyond words, and this place is an example. You people are an example of exactly that. Love to all of you.